The rain fell hard that night, washing the city's filth into glittering reflections of neon and regret. I was sitting in my car, parked by an alley I'd never noticed before, waiting for a call that never came. My name is Adrian Cole, CEO, heir to a fortune built on steel and cold logic. Everything I had was polished, perfect, and painfully empty. Until that night, when a thief tried to steal my wallet and ended up stealing my heart. I'd stepped out of the car, umbrella in hand, when I saw her, a flash of movement, a shadow breaking through the downpour. She bumped into me, so fast, so light, I barely caught the brush of her hand in my coat pocket. But my reflexes were sharper than hers. I caught her wrist, small, cold, trembling. Planning to rob me? I asked, voice low, more amused than angry. She looked up, and everything in me went silent. Her eyes dark as night, wild as freedom met mine without fear. Raindrops ran down her face like tears, but she didn't blink. I wasn't robbing you, she said softly. I was just borrowing. A laugh escaped me before I could stop it. Borrowing? She bit her lip and tried to pull her hand free, but I didn't let go. Something about her felt fragile, like she'd vanish if I blinked. Her clothes were soaked, her shoes torn, her hair a tangled storm around her face. Yet she stood proud, unbroken. What's your name? I asked. She hesitated. Lena. Well, Lena, I said, loosening my grip. You picked the wrong man tonight. I pick whoever has something I need, she replied, rubbing her wrist. And you look like you have too much of everything. Her words hit harder than I expected. I didn't know whether to be insulted or intrigued. I watched her turn away, disappearing back into the shadows of the alley. For some reason, I followed. The alley was narrow, lined with rusted doors and dripping pipes. I found her crouched under an old awning, trying to shield herself from the rain. She looked smaller now, tired, shivering. I don't know what made me do it. Maybe pity, maybe curiosity, maybe something deeper, but I took off my coat and placed it around her shoulders. She froze. What are you doing? You'll freeze, I said simply. Keep it. I can't take this. It's probably worth more than my life, then. Consider it borrowed, I said with a faint smile. For a moment, she just stared at me. Then her lips curved into something between a smile and a sigh. You're strange. I get that a lot. Lightning flashed above us, illuminating her face. Beneath the dirt and exhaustion, she was beautiful. Not the kind of beauty you see in magazines, but the kind that life tries to hide, the kind that fights to survive. Why are you out here, Lena? I asked quietly. She shrugged. Because nowhere else wants me. The streets don't ask questions. Her voice cracked on the last word. I wanted to ask more, but I didn't. She didn't need pity. She needed peace. I pulled out my wallet and offered her some cash. Take this. Find a place to sleep, at least for tonight. Her eyes darkened. I don't take charity. It's not charity, I said. It's an investment. In what? In you. She gave a soft laugh, shaking her head. You really are. Strange rich boy. And then she was gone again, melting into the night before I could say another word. I stood there for a long time, coatless and drenched, staring into the darkness where she'd disappeared. Something inside me stirred a feeling I hadn't known in years. It wasn't just curiosity. It was connection. The next morning, I couldn't get her out of my mind. Meetings blurred. People talked, and I nodded without hearing. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face under the rain. I found myself driving through the same alley again, hoping to catch a glimpse of her. Days passed. Nothing. Then one evening, as the city lights began to flicker on, I saw her again. Same alley, same worn-out clothes. But this time, she wasn't stealing. She was feeding a stray dog, breaking a piece of bread in half and smiling like it was the most natural thing in the world. I parked the car and walked up to her. She looked up, startled, but not scared. You again? You owe me my coat, I said. She smiled faintly. I sold it, figures. But I bought food with it, she added quickly. For me and him. She pointed to the dog, who wagged his tail as if confirming her story. Something in my chest softened. You really are something. I'm a thief, remember? She said, Teasing. You should stay away before I steal something else. Too late, I murmured. What? Nothing. She tilted her head, studying me, her eyes searching mine. For a moment, the world went quiet. Just her and me. Two souls from different worlds standing in the same storm. That night, I didn't leave. I stayed with her, sitting by the alley, sharing stories about things we'd both lost: her family, my heart. She laughed at my fancy words and I laughed at her blunt honesty. When dawn came, she stood up, brushing dust from her jeans. You should go, she said softly. The sun's not kind to dreamers like us. Then maybe I'll become a thief too, I said, so I can stay. She smiled at that, a real one, full of warmth and sadness. You wouldn't survive a day on the streets, Adrian. Try me, I whispered. She walked away before I could stop her. But I knew, as I watched her fade into the light, that it wasn't the end. It was just the beginning of something I could never have planned: a love born in rain and shadows. And though I didn't know how or when, I promised myself one thing: I'd find her again. And no matter what it took. Days turned into weeks. But I couldn't get Lena out of my head. I'd meet dozens of people every day: polished investors, ambitious assistants, empty smiles, but none of them had those eyes. She'd vanished as if the city itself had swallowed her. And I hated that it bothered me. I told myself it was pity or guilt, not obsession, but deep down, I knew the truth. I missed her. I missed the way she spoke without fear. The way she made me feel human again. Every evening, I drove through that same alley, sometimes waiting for hours. I even left food there once, wrapped neatly with a note that said, "For you." When I came back the next morning, it was gone. And no message, no sign. Just emptiness. One night, as I was about to leave, I saw a flicker of movement at the corner of my eye. I turned, and there she was. Same torn jacket, new bruises under her eyes. She froze when she saw me, then looked away. You again, I said quietly, stepping closer. She smirked weakly. I thought rich people forgot things easily. Some things can be forgotten. Her eyes met mine for a second before darting away. Why are you here? I told you. I'm investing in you. She scoffed. Well, your investment's not doing great. I haven't eaten in 2 days. I handed her a sandwich from my car. She hesitated, but hunger won. She took it, ate in silence, eyes flickering with something like shame. I waited until she finished before speaking again. Come with me, I said. You can't keep living like this. She laughed bitterly. And do what? Sit in your glass tower while your friends whisper about your charity project? I don't care what they whisper about. Well, I do, she said softly. I'm not your pet to be saved. I sighed. She had walls made of fire, and yet all I wanted was to touch the flame. Then what do you want, Lena? She looked up at the sky. Rain starting again, soft and slow. I just want a chance to start over. A place where nobody knows I'm a thief. Then let me help. Her lips trembled, but she shook her head. You'll regret it. You'll see what people like me really are. Maybe I already have, I said, and maybe I don't care. She turned to leave, but I caught her arm, not roughly. This time, gently. She didn't pull away. She just stared at me, eyes wet with rain or maybe tears. I couldn't tell. I can find you a job, I said. Something honest. Safe. I've never done anything honest in my life. Then it's time you start. She blinked, uncertain. Then, with a shaky breath, she nodded once. One chance. That's all. I smiled. One's enough. That night, I took her to my office building, empty after hours. I gave her a towel, dry clothes from my assistant's locker, and coffee. Her hands shook as she held the cup, like she wasn't used to warmth. This feels wrong, she whispered. It feels new. I corrected. She looked around at the glass walls, the clean light, the silence. You live in a world so quiet. I don't know how you stand it. I didn't, I said. Until now. She gave me a small smile, and it hit me harder than it should have. How could someone so broken make me feel whole? Over the next few days, I found her a small job in the company cafeteria, under another name Elena. Her pride wouldn't let her accept help directly, so I made sure no one knew she was connected to me. She worked hard, quietly, avoiding attention, but every time I passed by, I saw her smile grow a little warmer. One afternoon, my business partner Mark cornered me. "Who's the new girl in the cafeteria? She's got everyone talking." "Just someone who needed a job," I said, evenly. He raised a brow. "You're not getting soft, are you?" I forced a smile. "Maybe I'm getting human." That night, I found Lena outside the building, feeding the same stray dog again. "You're spoiling him," I teased. She looked up, grinning. "He's the only one who doesn't judge, then I'll have to compete with him." She rolled her eyes but laughed, and the sound filled the night like music. I sat beside her, shoulder brushing hers. We didn't talk much. We didn't need to. When the city lights dimmed, she turned to me suddenly. "Why are you doing this, Adrian? You don't owe me anything." "I know." "Then why?" I hesitated before answering. "Because you reminded me what real looks like." She stared at me for a long time, then whispered, "You shouldn't care about me." "Too late," I said simply. Her breath caught. She stood up quickly, as if afraid of her own heart. "Good night, rich boy." She left, before I could say another word, but I could feel it in her silence. She was scared. Not of me, but of what she was starting to feel. The next morning, she didn't show up at work. I called the manager. Nothing. I drove through every alley, asking vendors if they'd seen her. And no one had. As the hours passed, a cold panic set in. She'd vanished again, and this time, I didn't know if she was safe. By midnight, I found her sitting near the old railway tracks, blood on her arm, eyes distant. She looked up when she saw me and whispered, "You shouldn't have come." I had to. She tried to smile, but her voice broke. "They found me. Some old guys I used to run with, they wanted money. I told them I was done stealing. They didn't like that." I knelt beside her, wrapping my jacket around her shoulders again, just like that first night. "You're safe now." She shook her head weakly. "You don't get it, Adrian. People like me, we don't get saved. We just get found too late." I held her hand tightly. "Not this time." She looked at me, eyes glistening. Her defenses finally crumbling. "Why do you care so much?" "Because I think I fell for a thief," I said softly. "And she stole something I never wanted back." Her breath hitched. She stared at me for a long, fragile moment. Then she whispered, "You're insane." "Maybe." I smiled. "But I'm yours if you'll have me." She closed her eyes, leaning against me, too tired to argue. "You're going to regret this," she murmured. "Never." And under the whisper of the trains and the hum of the rain, I realized something. The thief I met in the dark had already taken everything that mattered: my loneliness, my silence, my heart. And I didn't want it back. Lena stayed in my apartment for a few days after that night. I told everyone she was a distant cousin recovering from an accident. But the truth was simpler. I couldn't let her go. Again, she slept on the couch, always keeping distance, like she was afraid of touching happiness too closely. I'd wake up early and find her sitting by the window, staring at the city lights fading into morning. Her silence said more than words ever could. One morning I brought her breakfast. She looked at the food, then at me. "You really don't give up, do you?" "Not when something matters," I said. She smirked faintly. "You think I matter?" "I know you do." She looked away, biting her lip. I could see the war inside her, hope fighting with guilt. She wanted to believe, but her past wouldn't let her. Days passed. She started to smile more, to laugh at my clumsy jokes. She even teased me about my expensive taste in coffee. "You drink gold," she'd say. And I'd answer, "You're worth more than that." Sometimes she'd blush, pretend she didn't hear me, but every time our eyes met, the air changed. I could feel it. Something deeper, realer, like a current pulling us closer. Then one evening as I came home, I found the door slightly open. My heart dropped. Lena was gone. The apartment was untouched except for a single note on the table. "I told you I don't belong here." I ran out, searching the streets until midnight. I called every contact I had, even asked police friends to keep watch, but no sign of her. It felt like losing color from my world. Everything turned gray. Again, 3 days later, a call came from an unknown number. A man's voice sneered. "Looking for your girlfriend, rich boy?" "Who is this?" "Someone who knows her better than you do. She owes us. We want what's ours." My blood ran cold. "What do you want?" "50,000 cash tonight at the docks, or you'll never see her again." They hung up. I didn't think twice. I packed the money, got into my car, and drove through the storm toward the docks. The night smelled of salt and danger. When I arrived, I saw them 3 men standing near the warehouse, and Lena, her wrists tied, face bruised. "Adrian." She cried when she saw me. "No, don't." One man shoved her to the ground. "Quiet, princess." I stepped forward, anger burning through my veins. "Here's your money. Let her go." The leader, scarred face, greedy eyes, laughed. "You must really love her." "I do." "Now take the money and leave." He nodded to his men. They untied her slowly, but before I could reach her, he whispered, "You think love saves people like her? It just makes them easier to hurt." Then he pulled a knife. Lena screamed. I moved before I could think. The blade cut across my arm, but I didn't stop. I hit him hard, once, twice, until his grip loosened. The others ran when sirens echoed from the distance. I'd called my friend at the station before coming. Lena knelt beside me, tears mixing with the rain. "You idiot," she sobbed. "Why would you do that?" "Because you're worth bleeding for," I said through clenched teeth. She shook her head, crying harder. "You should hate me. They came because of me. I don't care. I just need you safe." That night, I refused to go to the hospital. I bandaged my arm myself while she sat quietly, eyes full of guilt. I reached out, touched her hand. "Don't disappear again." She looked down. "You don't understand. They'll never stop. They'll keep coming for me. I've stolen too much from the wrong people. Then I'll protect you. You can't protect me from my past. Then we'll rewrite it," I said firmly. "Together." She stared at me for a long time, then finally whispered, "You really are insane. I told you that already." Something in her broke, then the fear, the shame, the distance. She leaned forward and kissed me, soft, hesitant, but real. The world outside vanished. It wasn't a perfect kiss. It was trembling and desperate, but it carried every unspoken word between us. When she pulled back, tears glistened on her cheeks. "I've never had anyone look at me like I'm more than what I've done." "That's because you are." From that night on, she stayed. We built a fragile peace. She started working officially at the company under her real name this time. She laughed more, learned to trust more, and for a while, it felt like the storm had finally passed. But peace never lasts forever. One evening, I came home to find a strange envelope on the floor. No return address. Just my name inside, typed neatly. "You can't hide a thief forever. Consider this your warning." My heart froze. I didn't tell Lena. I didn't want to scare her, but I started noticing shadows near the building. Cars parked too long. Faces that turned away too fast. Someone was watching. Then one night, she found the letter on my desk. She read it silently, then turned to me. "You lied," she whispered. "I didn't want to worry you. You should have told me. They're still after me, Adrian. I told you this would happen. I stepped closer. We'll handle it. No, she said, tears forming again. I can't let you get hurt because of me. You've already done too much. She grabbed her bag and tried to leave. I blocked the door. You walk out that door and I'll follow you wherever you go. Her voice cracked. Why? Because love isn't about what you deserve. It's about what you can't live without. She stared at me, heart torn between fear and faith. Finally, she dropped her bag and buried her face against my chest, crying silently. I held her close, whispering against her hair. You're not alone anymore. That night, we didn't speak much. She fell asleep in my arms for the first time. The city outside roared with sirens, but inside there was only peace, fragile, precious, real. I knew danger was still coming, but I also knew one thing. Whatever storm awaited us, we'd face it together, because she'd stolen my heart and I wasn't asking for it back. For a few weeks, life felt almost normal. Lena laughed more, worked hard, and even started planning to study again. She said she wanted to earn an honest life this time. I believed her. I wanted to give her the world, but peace is fragile, and ours was built on borrowed time. It started with the car following us home one night. I noticed the same black sedan in the mirror for 3 days straight. I tried to stay calm, not to scare her, but she saw the worry in my eyes. They've found me again, she whispered, voice trembling. It never ends. It will, I promised. I won't let them take you. That evening, I met with my security team and had my house fortified. Cameras, guards, alarms. It looked more like a fortress than a home. Lena hated it. You're turning your life upside down for me, she said. I'm not worth this trouble. You're worth everything. I replied without hesitation. Don't ever say that again. She looked at me, eyes full of a pain that came from years of being told she was nothing. How can you still believe in me? Because you made me believe in something again. For a while it worked. The shadows faded. The days turned warm. And for the first time, she smiled, without fear. But one night, as we were returning from dinner, a van blocked our car. A group of masked men surrounded us before I could react. They dragged me out, pushed me to the ground, and grabbed Lena. She screamed my name as they forced her into the van. I fought back, but they hit me hard and everything went dark. When I woke up, the world was spinning, blood dripping down my face. My security team found me minutes later, but Lena was gone. The next 2 days were hell. I didn't sleep, didn't eat. I made calls, paid anyone who could find her. I even went to the police, but they were slow, too slow. Then a message came through an old phone number from the underworld. You want her back? Come alone? Bring nothing. I didn't tell anyone. I went alone, heart pounding, gun tucked in my coat. I'd never used one before, but I was ready to die if it meant saving her. The address led me to an abandoned factory at the edge of the docks. The air smelled like rust and fear. I stepped inside, and there she was tied to a chair. Face bruised, but eyes fierce. She looked up when she saw me and shook her head. Adrian? No. You shouldn't have come. I told you I'd always come. A man stepped out of the shadows, the same scarred face from before. You should have stayed away, rich boy. You're too soft for our world. Let her go. She's done with you. He laughed. No one's ever done. She stole from us, and now she pays. She owes you nothing. I said, take me instead. Lena gasped. Don't. The man smirked. Interesting offer. But she's the one who betrayed us, sold us out to the cops years ago. You really think she's innocent? I didn't flinch. I don't care what she did. I care who she is now. That seemed to confuse him. He circled me, eyes narrowing. Love makes fools of all men. Then call me a fool. He chuckled and nodded to one of his men. Show him what it costs to love a thief. The man raised his gun. I moved faster than I ever thought possible, lunged, grabbed his wrist, and the shot went wide. I hit him hard, grabbed the weapon, and turned it on the leader. Everything happened in seconds. Shouts, panic, smoke. Lena kicked her chair free and ran to me. We fought our way out together to hearts against a world built on violence. Outside, the sirens wailed. My friend Mark had tracked my car's GPS and called the police. The gang scattered into the night. We fell to the ground, breathing hard. Lena's hands trembled as she touched my face. You're insane, she whispered. You could have died. So could you, I said. But now we're alive. That's all that matters. Tears ran down her cheeks. She leaned against me, crying softly. I don't deserve you. I smiled weakly. Too late. You're stuck with me. She laughed through tears and kissed me again. This time with no hesitation. Just love, raw and desperate. When we pulled apart, she whispered, I want to start over for real this time. And no lies. No running. Then start here, I said. With me. After that night, Lena gave her full statement to the police. The gang was caught within weeks. My company went through scandals when the news broke about my connection to her, but I didn't care. People whispered that I'd lost my mind, fell for a criminal, but I only smiled. Because they didn't know her story, they didn't know how much strength it takes to crawl out of darkness. Months passed. Lena studied again, went to night school, started helping others on the street who'd been forgotten like she once was. She said she wanted to be someone's second chance, like I was hers. Every night when I came home, she'd be waiting by the window, just like before. But now her eyes had peace in them. She wasn't the thief from the alley anymore. She was the woman who stole my loneliness and replaced it with life. One evening, I took her to the same alley where we first met. It was quiet now, almost clean. The rain began to fall softly. She looked around and smiled. Funny how everything started here. Funny, I said, handing her a small box. I think it's poetic. She opened it, eyes widening. A ring, simple, elegant, just like her. Adrian? Lena, I said softly, you stole my wallet once. Now I'm asking you to steal my name. She laughed through tears. You're impossible. Say yes, I whispered. Before I start doubting your taste in rich idiots. She shook her head, smiling brighter than I'd ever seen. Yes. Yes, 1,000 times. The rain fell harder, soaking us both as I slipped the ring onto her finger. She wrapped her arms around me, and for a moment, all the pain, the fear, the past washed away. We kissed under the same rain that once made us strangers. And this time, it didn't feel like an ending. It felt like home. A year passed since the night of the storm that changed everything. The city moved on. But for us, every moment felt new. Lena was no longer a ghost in the alleys. She walked with light in her steps, head held high, eyes filled with dreams. She had built a small foundation to help homeless women find shelter and jobs. She called it second chances. Every time she spoke about it, her voice trembled with pride. If someone like me can change, then anyone can, she said. I couldn't help but fall for her all over again. Our wedding was simple, quiet, and perfect. It wasn't in a cathedral or a ballroom, but on a rooftop at sunset, where the city lights met the fading sky. She wore a white dress that shimmered like raindrops, and I wore the same suit. From the night we met, she laughed when she saw me adjusting the tie nervously. Relax, she teased. I'm not running this time. I wouldn't let you, I whispered, when she walked toward me, smiling through tears. I felt my chest ache in the best way possible. The officiant's words blurred in my head because all I could see was her, Lena, the girl who once tried to steal my wallet and ended up stealing my life. I slipped the ring on her finger. Our hands trembling together. I promise, I said quietly. To love you the way the rain loved that first night, to fall without fear. She smiled, voice breaking. And I promise not to steal anything else. Except maybe your heart again. Everyone laughed softly. But I couldn't, my throat was too tight from emotion when the officiant said, "You may kiss the bride." I didn't hesitate. I kissed her under the fading sun, and the city around us seemed to disappear. After the ceremony, we stayed on the rooftop. Long after everyone left, she leaned against me, watching the stars appear. "Can you believe it?" she whispered. "From alleys to altars, I always believed," I said. She laughed softly. "You're a terrible liar. Only about small things." I smiled. "Not about you." The wind carried her hair across her face. I brushed it aside and kissed her forehead. She closed her eyes and said quietly, "Sometimes I still wake up scared, thinking it's all a dream, that I'll open my eyes and be back on the street. Then I'll be there too," I said, "because wherever you are, that's home." Tears welled in her eyes. She took my hand and placed it over her heart. "You gave me this back," she whispered. "The right to feel again, to be seen, to be loved. I spent years stealing because the world stole from me first, but you gave it all back." I pulled her closer. "We both saved each other, Lena. You just did it. First, months later." Her foundation grew beyond anything we imagined. News outlets called her the miracle thief, a woman who turned crime into compassion. She hated the title but smiled every time someone thanked her for a second chance. I stood beside her during every speech, watching her shine brighter than any diamond I'd ever bought. One evening, a little girl came running up to her during an event. "Miss Lena," the girl said shyly, "Mama says you're an angel." Lena knelt and smiled. "No, sweetheart. I'm just someone who learned to start over." When the girl ran off, Lena turned to me, eyes glistening. "Do you think people can really change?" "I don't think," I said softly. "I know. Because I saw it happen right in front of me." She smiled that familiar smile, the one that first stopped me in the rain, and whispered, "I'm glad you caught me. Technically." I grinned. "You caught me first." We both laughed, and for a moment, every hardship, every scar, felt like it led exactly here, two broken pieces finding their fit. Years later, on the anniversary of our meeting, we returned to that same alley. It looked different now, cleaner, brighter, new lights installed by the city, but I could still see the ghost of that rainy night when a thief met a man who'd lost his heart long before she stole it. She wore a long coat the same color as the one I gave her that night. I teased, "Careful now. Don't pick my pocket again." She chuckled. "Why would I? I already own everything that's yours." We stood there in silence as rain began to fall again. She reached out, letting the drops touch her palm. "Feels the same," she murmured. "Maybe some things never change." She turned to me and smiled. "No. Some things just find better endings." I kissed her hand, watching her eyes glow under the city lights. "Do you ever miss the streets?" I asked, softly. "Sometimes," she admitted. "Not the pain, but the freedom. It taught me how strong I could be." I nodded. "It also brought you to me." She laughed. "So, you're saying my life of crime was destiny?" "Exactly." She rolled her eyes but didn't argue. She leaned into me as thunder rumbled above us. "You know, Adrian," she whispered, "I think that night wasn't about stealing at all. I think it was fate trying to put two broken souls in the same storm." I smiled. "And it worked." She tilted her head. "So, what now?" "We've got the happy ending." I looked up at the rain. "Now we build the forever after." And as the storm fell around us, the thief who once stole to survive now held everything she'd ever needed in her arms: love, peace, and a future. We stood there, laughing, crying, letting the rain wash away every yesterday. They say some loves are born in sunlight, but ours was born in rain. In chaos. In pain. In redemption. And maybe that's why it lasted. Because even in the darkest streets, some hearts were never meant to be lost, they were just waiting to be found. She looked up at me, eyes soft, voice trembling with warmth. I love you, my rich fool. And I love you, my beautiful thief. We kissed one last time under the rain that once made us strangers, only this time, we didn't run. We stayed. Together. Forever.